All right, perfect. So we just went over the private family trust and we have, set up our private family trust. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to allow for questions on any of the information and the entire setup process that we just did. So I will start with the chat. I don't think I see anything in the chat. So you can come off of mute. You can raise your hand. You can put in the chat whatever questions that you have. So Jessica says, do we have to include middle names? That's optional. If you want to include it. If you don't, you don't have to. Okay, it's not required. Hi Jessica, how are you? So glad that you are here. So that was a good question. So any other questions on the information that we went over regarding setting up the private family trust?
Yes.
Hi Dee, how are you? Nice to
Hi,
see you here.
Christina. I'm
Nice
good.
to see you.
Good, thank you. Tired, busy, but
Yes.
so on the certificate of trust, when on the sheet where it has like three trustees and one grantor, my notary is asking what goes in the byline. Should all four names be typed?
Oh yeah, hold on. Let me take a look at it really quick. Okay, that's a good
Okay.
question. Oh, hold on one second. Let me go to it. Cancel. Word. 1 second. Let me go to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, the names of the trustee go there. So it says subscribed and sworn to before me on this day. So you put the date, right? They put let's just say the 8th day of August 2023 by, and so that is the individual who was sworn or subscribed before them. And then so let's just say that, I'm just going to use my name. So by Christina Ivette, who proved to me on this basis of satisfactory evidence that to be the man or woman that they are before me.
Okay, so on the certificate of trust we just looked at, you see there's four names. Are all those four people supposed to be notarizing on that page?
He was eating over there.
So they had,
Yeah, wait, hold on 1 second. Somebody's off of mute. Excuse me. All right, I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. You have three you have
trustees.
you have three trustees and one grantor. Yes, everybody has to
Notarized.
has to get a notarized, and everyone has to have a copy of it too. So since you have three trustees, not the grantor, so
Right.
since you have three trustees,
Mhm.
then you need 3 copies of the trust. I will get 4 copies, one just for
Extra.
exactly. And then each trustee is going to get their own copy of it. But yes, it does need to be notarized by all of them, by whoever is the acting trustee. So for example, if let's just say that you added a 5th trustee or a 4th trustee, then you would do a new certificate of trust adding that that new person. So this is the most up-to-date version. So you're not going to re-notarize your trust. You're just going to do the certificate of trust again whenever you're adding or removing people, particularly the trustees. Okay.
Okay, so we were all at the bank, all four of us. On the byline, should it be, you see where it says by and it's blank? Do I have to type in all four of our names?
All four
Okay,
names. Yeah.
that's what she wanted clarity on.
Yeah.
So is it okay if we handwritten it in? Because I didn't have the type.
No, yeah, that's fine. That's typically what happens is
Okay.
people are handwriting it. And so usually it's the notary that's handwriting it because the notary is going to ask you for your ID. They're going to look at it and they're going to write manually because I'm a notary. So they're going to write manually the name that they see on the driver's license that's presented in front of them or whatever identification that you provide.
Okay. All right. So we just needed to clear that one because, okay, so we wrote it in. Thank you.
Good. Congratulations on getting your trust notarized.
I know. So, thank you.
You're welcome.
The ministry trust, I put a nonprofit organization for women as the beneficiary.
That's
Do
perfect.
I have to put their established date too? Do I have to go look at
Yes.
when they were established? Okay.
Yeah, put the establishment date for the beneficiary.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Dee's iPad has a question. Hi, Dee.
Hello,
How are you?
I'm okay. I was looking at the Schedule B, where where we went through the residence, and you went to the vehicle, but then you went to insurance. Was the insurance for the vehicle, or was that insurance for health insurance or life insurance?
That's life insurance.
Okay, life insurance. Okay,
Yeah, that's an asset.
okay, all right. And the other thing was the grantor. Who can be a grantor? I mean, where do
That's
you get the person from?
Yeah, that's a good question. So your grantor can be anybody, right? So as long as one, they're 18 and older and they are able to notarize, right? So this is the reason why we do it this way. So one, we are setting up an irrevocable trust, which is the best type of trust to have, okay? Two, the grantor has irrevocability. So you don't want to be the grantor because you don't want to have irrevocability, meaning that you cannot make any changes, you cannot terminate the trust, you cannot revoke property back from the trust. You don't want that position. So you're going to appoint someone else to be your grantor. That person could be anybody. So that could be a family member. That could be like an aunt, an uncle, a cousin, that could be a neighbor, that could be a coworker, that could be, anyone. It could be a sibling, a parent, a grandparent. It could be anyone, as long as that person is not going to have a position within your trust, meaning that as long as one, that person is not you. Two, that person is not going to be your successor in the future. So for example, my successor is my brother, right? And so it can't serve as my grantor. Okay. So as long as they're not going to be a successor and as long as they are not a beneficiary, right, then that person can serve as your grantor. So it could be literally anyone. Okay.
Do they have to be a notary?
No.
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 Okay.
No, they just have to be able to sign in front of a notary because the trust needs to be notarized. So you as the trustee are going to get your signature notarized, and then your grantor is going to get their signature notarized. The grantor doesn't have to be in the same state as you either. So a lot of my clients, they'll use like parents and siblings that are in other states. And so what you would do is, because we have like a Word document, you can send them like the PDF version of your trust. They can print it out, get their signature notarized, and mail you the originals. So that also can happen as well. Okay.
Okay.
The grantor gets a copy of the trust too.
The grantor gets a copy of the trust too.
No.
No.
No. So you want to have multiple original copies. So I always recommend to have two original copies just in case one is destroyed, right? Because it's paper. It's paper, it's a contract. What if one gets destroyed, right? We have hurricanes, we have, all kind of tsunamis, all kind of stuff. So you never know. So in the event, you have a backup copy. That's one. And two, the grantor, they notarize the trust and they walk away from the trust. So they don't have any power, any control, any influence, any beneficial interest, nothing.
Do they know the contents?
Unless you show them. Are you going to show them the contents?
No.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I'm good.
All right, perfect. That was a good question, Dee. Thank you for being here tonight.
All right. Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. All right, who's next? Who has a question about the private family trust and everything that we've went over today to get it all set up?
I have a question.
Okay, go for it.
I already have a trust. So how do I deed my house over with the trust that I have?
So we're gonna go over that on Friday. So what you're gonna do is you are going to do a quick claim deed, and you're gonna deed it over from your personal name to the trust. Okay, so I will provide you with a quick claim deed, and then I will provide you with the information on how to get your legal address and how to fill it out. So we'll do it together, but that's the process that you're going to take. So whoever is on the deed. So some of my clients, they have multiple names on the deed, like, a husband and a wife, a brother and a, and a son, or a mother and a son. So whoever the names are on the deed, you're going to put all those names.
Just me. Just
Okay,
me.
perfect. So then you're going to put your name, and then you're going to deed it over to the trust. So then we'll put the trust name, we'll put you as the trustee, and then the only signature that's required is the person who owns the house or who's on the deed. So with the quitclaim deed, we use the terms grantor and grantee, okay, with that particular document. So you are the grantor and you're granting a gift of the property to the grantee. The grantee is the trust. You do have to get it notarized. Once it's notarized, then you're going to submit it to your clerk of court or your county recorder's office, and they're going to record your new deed with the county, and it's going to reflect, on your on the public records that the trust is now the new owner of the home.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. You're welcome. We'll do that on Friday.
Does your home have to be paid for, or you can transfer it over without it?
That is a wonderful question. It does not need to be paid for. So there's something called the Saint Germain Act. And so previously what happened was whenever you transfer ownership of a house to someone who's not on the mortgage, then it triggers a due on sale clause with the stipulations within your mortgage. And so that will happen if I was to transfer it to, let's just say, my brother, right? So it's going from my personal name to his personal name, then that is considered a sale. And because that other person didn't qualify for the mortgage, now the mortgage company is saying, well, we're going to trigger the due on sale clause. So now the entire mortgage is due right now. When you are transferring from a personal name to a trust, it does not trigger that, which is good for us. And so now your mortgage is going to stay intact, and it's going to now the trust is going to be the payer of the mortgage. So if you want to, it's optional, but you can contact your mortgage company and let them know that the mortgage payments are going to now be coming from your trust bank account. And then with that, hold on, there was something else I was going to say. I forgot. So with the mortgage, with the trust, now that the trust is the owner of the property, all of the financial responsibilities are now going to fall under the trust. Okay, so that mortgage, the taxes, the utilities, everything dealing with that property should come out of the trust bank account.
And you're going to change the name of all your utilities and the name of the trust as well?
Yes, that would be the best practice. Yes.
And then will the mortgage company change the name, or you're still the surety is still the person that made the mortgage, right? So they're not going to change the name of that.
Correct. Yep. It's still going to be under your personal name, and it's still going to be on your personal credit unless you refinance. You can also refinance. And then at that point, it would be under the trust credit and under the trust name.
Okay. One other question on the certificate of trust. I know you want to keep this private, so I mean, it lists the grantor, but I'm assuming that's not important. It's really the beneficiaries, or you can't sue the grantor, right? I mean,
nope, and you can't sue the trustee either.
okay, so then it's really just making sure that you keep because the certificate of trust you're going to give to the bank, so you really want to make sure you keep the beneficiaries private if you're going to keep the okay.
Yeah, exactly. And so the banks, they actually do ask for the grantor information. So some of them do, some of them don't. And they will ask you if the grantor is actually still living. And if they're not living, sometimes they ask you for a death certificate. So it just depends. And if you don't have or are unable to provide the grantor information, you just let them know and they will bypass that.
Okay, and then last thing, like, I did secured party creditor thing, and like, I mean, is it just, I guess, unnecessary to sign your name the way that, you know, you do it when you're taking control of your trust in your name, your trust created by the government, for example, signing your name or your name, like with your first name dash middle name colon last name. I mean, would you use that on these trust documents, or just keep it simple, first and last name or whatever?
So I keep it simple. I don't do what you're describing, but I haven't gone through the process that you're talking about either. So I do it the way that you would do it with other entities. So if you have like an LLC or an S corporation, and if you're like, you know, a president, CEO, or authorized member, the way that we do it is you will sign your name and then you will say, you know, as, you know, authorized member or as trustee of, and then you'll put the name of the trust.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. So that's how we do it.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for being here. Let me see. I think I have some questions in the chat. So Elaine put, do I need to do another trust with you in order to deed over? So I think we talked about that, Elaine, right?
Yes, Lorraine.
Okay, good. Ryan says, can you explain how you pay yourself from your trust? Could I get a debit card? Yes. So there are several different ways to pay yourself from your trust. So let's just touch on a few. So one, you can expend directly from the trust. Okay, so for example, if you are paying utilities, right? Then you can just use, so you're getting a regular checking account for your trust. Okay, so just like your personal checking account, you have a debit card, you have checks, you have Zelle, you have all these, you know, automatic bill pay, you have every single thing that a standard regular checking account you get. Okay, so you know, you have that those capabilities in order to pay whatever bills or, you know, financial obligations that you have. So that's first and foremost. The second thing is that if you're paying yourself, one way that you can do it is, one, you can pay yourself a salary. So you can pay yourself a salary, you can become an employee of your trust, or you can become a so for the business trust and the private family trust, you can have W-2 employees, okay? So you can be, you know, a W-2 employee, you can pay yourself, that's one way. But you're gonna get double taxed, right? You're gonna get taxed on the employee side of things, which is through the IRS and all that stuff. The other way you can do it is you can pay yourself as an independent contractor. So because you are the trustee, you're rendering services to the trust, and the trust is now going to give you a 1099 for a certain amount that you deem as reasonable for your services. Okay, so that's another way. Another thing is that because you're the trustee, you get to benefit from the trust, meaning that all of your expenses when you're on trust business are paid. So for example, if you need to, you know, travel to Europe or whatever, and that's on trust business, is fully paid by the trust. Okay, so that's another thing. So what I do is I expend from the trust everything that's dealing with the trust. And then if I need personal money to do other stuff, like to go get my nails done and stuff like that, then what I do is I take out a loan from the trust, because I don't want to be a W-2, I don't want to be a 1099, because those have to pay taxes on the personal side. That doesn't make any sense. So if you want to be able to use money and then you can put it back, or if you default, whatever the circumstances, But if you need to be able to use money from the trust that's not related to trust business, then you're going to take out a personal, you're going to take out a loan from the trust. So you're going to do a promissory note, which I will show you guys either Thursday or Friday. And so with the promissory note, what you're gonna do is you're going to do the promissory note for whatever the loan is, right? So it's going to be from you, the trustee, to the trust for, $15,000, and then it's going to have all the terms and conditions there. Okay. So I will show you guys the promissory note either Thursday or Friday, and we will go through that process, but that is how you're going to do it. So you'll do a regular transfer, like a wire transfer or a Zelle, and you will issue yourself a loan. Okay. If you are married and both parties act as the trustee and co-trustee, hold on one second, let's see. If you are married and both parties act as the trustee and the co-trustee whose parents or grandparents' name would reflect on there. So you would put all the grandparents in, so you would put 4. So for several of the trusts that I've set up is 4 names there under the ancestors. A direct descendants, what about blended families when the children may not be direct descendants? So if the children are not direct descendants, then it would have to be because we're talking specifically about TCU transfer, then it would have to be approved by the trustee. So if they're going to be receiving TCUs, the trustee has to approve that transfer. So that's simple. And you would put all of the grandparents, so from both parties. So if I have 2 sets of grandparents and you have 2 sets of grandparents, then we'll put all. Let's see, a grantor can be deceased. So remember that so your grantor has to be living, right? Because they actually have to sign the trust, but your grantor is not going to be living forever. Right. So the trust is going to outlive the grantor, the trustees, the beneficiaries, everybody. So sometimes in some situations, the grantor is already deceased. And so they'll ask you for a death certificate, or they'll just ask you for, their information. So no, a grantor has to be living and able to sign and notarize as of right now, but they're not going to remain living. Are you going to go over record keeping for the trust? So we're going to go over board meetings, and then I can touch on record keeping. So, so when it comes to record keeping, I'll just touch on it now. What happens is, and we will go through it tomorrow because there's a certain section, when it comes to it. So what you want to do is you want to have a binder, right, for your actual trust. This is going to be your working binder for your trust, and you're going to have different sections in the binder. So the first section in the binder is going to have your actual indenture, your agreement, your trust. Okay. Then the second section is going to have all the board meeting minutes. Okay. So every single meeting minute that you've had, you're going to put inside of the, you're going to add it to the trust. So if I have a meeting right now about, purchasing a property, then I'm going to, execute that meeting. I'll sign it, and then I'll add it to the trust. Okay. So I'll go to section 2 and I'll put it under, in chronological order. Then the next section, section 3 of your binder, you're going to put, whatever, properties that you have, whatever assets that you have. So for example, you're going to put the deed to your house. You're going to put the title to your car. You're going to put the policy, what do they call it? Like the policy information. So I think they call it something face, the interface or something like that. But the binder for the insurance, you're going to put that information, and whatever assets that you have, right? You'll put those important ownership information in the actual trust under section 3. Then section 4, we are going to put any contracts that are in the trust. So for example, if you took out a personal loan for the trust, if you have a mortgage on the trust, if you have a car loan, if you have a credit card, any of these contracts that you have, a business, right? So like Friday, we'll do the business purchase agreement, stuff like that. You're going to have it in that section. And then the last section is any financial responsibilities. So for example, if you're responsible for taxes, if you're responsible for utilities, car note, kids tuition, anything like that, you're going to put that in the last section of the trust. And so that's your binder. And because in this program, we're setting up 3 different trusts, you're going to have 3 different binders. Okay. And so that is you actually, managing your records. And so now when you resign, you have to hand over that binder to your successor. Okay. So that's the way that works. Hope that helped. Jessica says, so who will sign as a grantor if my grantor is another trust? So whoever the trustee is of that other trust is the authorized signer of that other trust, and that is the individual that has to sign as the grantor. All right, so do I have any other questions? I do want to be respectful of your time. It is 9:03. So what we are going to be doing is today we set up our private family trust. Tomorrow we will be setting up our ministry trust. So we're going to be setting up that 508c1a ministry trust tomorrow. And we will also be simultaneously getting ordained as ministers, as well as applying for the EIN to be tax exempt with the IRS. So that is everything that we are going to be doing tomorrow. So you will receive an email from Aya with all the resources that you're going to need for tomorrow. And if you don't see it in your inbox, please check your spam. I see that some of us have been getting our emails in spam. So add 7 Ways to Wealth as your contact on your email list so that the emails can go directly to your inbox. And this session is recorded. So Aya will be sending you the recording shortly this evening so that you can go back through the information. And if there was any sections that you missed, you are able to go back and review and go over those sections. Okay. And then another thing is to go through the Facebook group. So have you joined the Facebook group? If you haven't joined the Facebook group, then go ahead and join the Facebook group. I just put the link in the chat, and that's where you can ask any questions that might come up between now and tomorrow. And go ahead and introduce yourself in the Facebook group because we are a tight community. So you can ask any questions, and you post your questions there, as well as ask any questions and introduce yourself. So another thing that I wanted to let you guys know was homework, right? So we are going to be applying for our EINs. So if you need to get any virtual address, or if you need a registered agent or anything like that, for when we start applying for the EINs as early as tomorrow, then go ahead and do that, okay? Because when we're applying for our EINs tomorrow, they are going to ask us for the trust address, the trust phone number. So if you need a separate address and phone number, go ahead and do that, as well as create an email address for your trust as well, okay? So grab a Gmail for your trust, and if you want a PO box or a virtual address, go ahead and do that. for tomorrow. And then if you're going to use your personal number, or if you're going to get a Google number or whatever number for your trust. Okay. So that is the homework for this evening. And then we will, we will see you guys here tomorrow on Zoom.
Do we have to have an agent, a registered agent?
No, you don't. So typically the trustee is the registered agent.
Okay.
Yeah, so you will just list yourself. So Elaine said, do you still need to keep the 503 when you do the 508? So if you have a nonprofit already, like a 501, if you have a nonprofit already, you can continue to operate it. Or if you don't want to, you can dissolve it. So it's up to you. It's optional. So yeah, so anyway, so tomorrow we will be back here tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You will receive the specific Zoom link from Aya tomorrow. And Jessica has a question. Yes, Jessica?
Yeah, how is it easy to change the address? Like, I'm not sure. I would have to look up where to find like a virtual address or something, but is it a simple process to change it if need be? Like
It
down
is,
the line?
yeah, it's just one form, which is it's a change of responsibility and address form that you would do with the IRS in order to change the address. And the only thing is that it takes, a while to process, right? Because the IRS is a little slow. So there, it probably takes about a month or two in order for them to update your address in their system. And then as far as getting a virtual address, I recommend iPostal One for your virtual address. They have a robust list of addresses that you can use in the whole nation. Okay.
All right, thank you.
You're so welcome. Thank you for asking that good question, Jessica. So that is it for tonight. So if you haven't introduced yourself in the Facebook group, please go ahead and introduce yourself. Please let us know why you decided to become a trustee, and then have all the information ready for tomorrow so that we can apply for your EINs and we can get you guys ordained as ministers for your ministry trust. So Frank asked, every time I add a new asset, how do I add it to the trust? It depends on the asset, but what you're going to do is you're going to add it to the Schedule B. So let's just say you bought a house today. You're going to go into your trust. You're going to add it to your Schedule B, right? Manually, just type it in there. And then you'll reprint out a Schedule B and add it into your binder. And then you physically have to have that ownership. So if you bought the asset and the asset's already owned by the trust, then you're good to go. Or if you acquired the asset and it was a gift, then you have to do that transfer. So if it's a house, then you got to do the quit claim deed. If it's a vehicle, then you have to do a bill of sale for that vehicle. So we are going to be talking about asset transfers on Friday. Okay, Frank? So we can go through that and I can show you the different paperwork involved with all these different assets. So we'll go through the insurance, we'll go through the vehicles, we'll go through the businesses, the LLCs, things like that. And then we'll go through the house, through the deeds. Okay. All right, guys. So you guys have a good evening. I will see you here tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I will send you the email with the Zoom link and resources that you will need for tomorrow. So